Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei teleported in Konosuba and got Harem with Yunyun and Darkness? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Nefarious Doctor for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Let's start this video. What the hell? Where am I? Issei asked while looking around himself to see he was in a place that looked like a planetarium. Hello. I do apologize, but you seem to have died. A voice said to him before Issei turned to see that it was a woman speaking to him. The woman appeared as an 18-year-old teenager with a delicate and beautiful face, long silver hair going down to her ankles, which had a light purple umber. She also had two long bangs that reached down to her shoulders, and an ahogue sprouted from her fringe. The woman was wearing a purple coif on her head, which matched the shade of her purple eyes, as well as a matching white and purple one-piece Hagoromo dress with yellow trimmings that went slightly past her knees. She also wears purple shoes and white stockings, as well as a necklace with a pink diamond-shaped jewel in its center. It's a pleasure to meet you, Red Dragon Emperor. My name is Eris, and I am the goddess of fortune and luck. Eris said, cashing Issei to stand up before backing away from the beautiful woman. Okay, nice to meet you, but where am I, and what the fuck happened after that dimensional explosion? Issei said, trying to recall what happened, but drawing a blank before the boosted gear appeared on his left arm, making Issei sigh in relief that his partner was still with him. Glad to see you still here, Drake. Same. As for what happened to us, after the dimensional explosion, the three of us were separated, blasting us into this dimension. I'm unsure whether Officer Great Red has noticed us missing, but the good news is that your new body was unharmed thanks to the balance breaker. Your new body is still, but the issue is that we don't know when Office and Great Red will be able to locate us due to the fact we have no way of contacting them, nor do we know how to open a gate to the dimensional gap. Drake explained before Issei had an idea. Couldn't we simply use Office's powers to open a gate to it? No. Sadly, you only have a small piece of Office's infinite power and have no idea how to control it, so you could technically destroy this world just by using it, which is why for the past 30 minutes while you were unconscious. I was speaking to this Eris who came up with an idea that not only benefits her, but also assists us with you learning how to use your new powers and a way for you to learn more about your new body. Greg explained before Issei looked back at Eris, who was nervous until Issei asked her what the proposal was, which made the goddess excited before she summoned a chair and offered it to Issei, who sat in it. Well, the proposal is that as a goddess, I can't exactly open the gate to the dimensional gap. That's more of my boss's gift. Still, she said that whoever defeats the Demon King can not only gain a wish for whatever they desire, and if you become an adventurer, then you'll not only be able to learn spells, but also be able to understand better and control your new strength. Eris said while Issei pondered this proposal, since he doesn't like the idea of being away for much longer from home, but who knows how long it would be until Office and Great Red find them, so he thought this might be a good training experience as well. So all I have to do is defeat this Demon King, gain the wish of the gods, and then go home? That's right. Will you accept my proposal? Eris asked with a nervous tone before Issei nodded and shook her hand. I accept, but on the condition that once I gain my wish, I'll speak to your boss immediately since I have a home to get back to. I understand, but still, thank you for helping this world, Eris said before gasping as if recalling something. Oh, and if you want some extra help, then you should seek out the other gods of the world, since they'll be able to help you with your powers. Now, normally, this is the time I'd offer you a special power, but I think you'll want to deny it, won't you? What kind of powers? Issei asked before Eris handed Issei some papers. Issei began to look through them and saw them as the most offensive gifts, which sounded cool, but had serious drawbacks until something caught his eye. The evil eyes of the demon. Do you mean the Demon King's eyes or something else, since this sounds like a funny cheat in a comedy anime? Issei asked before Eris yelled in fear, snatching that one away from him. Oh, no. Definitely not for sale. Especially since this reeks of demonic powers. Oh, it's the big deal. They're just eyes, and I'm technically a Diablo dragon, so what's the problem? Issei asked as if he didn't care before Eris stuttered a reply. But you were a human, and these are evil? Why? What do they even do exactly? Issei asked before Eris sighed and handed the paper back to him. Issei reads it to himself, and a smile begins to appear on his face after reading about its abilities. The evil eyes of the demon. Description. The evil eyes of the demon grant the user formidable eye magic powers, allowing them to harness the abilities of demons they either defeat or consume. These abilities manifest as unique ocular powers, each tailored to the nature and strength of the demon absorbed. Abilities. 1. Demonic vision. The user's eyes can perceive through illusions, detect magical auras, and see hidden or invisible entities. This vision also reveals the weaknesses and strengths of their opponents. 2. Evil Eye. The user can paralyze, control, or terrify their opponents with a direct gaze. Those who meet the user's eyes are overcome with an intense fear, rendering them unable to move or attack for a short period. 3. Demonic Transformation. In moments of extreme need, the user's eyes glow with an intense light, allowing them to transform into a demonic form temporarily. This boosts their physical and magical abilities significantly, but comes with a risk of losing control to demonic influences. 4. True Sight. The user's eyes can see through lies and deceptions, discerning the truth in any situation. This ability also allows the user to foresee immediate threats and dangers. Limitations. 1. Energy Drain. Using the demonic powers stored in the user's eyes requires a substantial amount of energy, leaving the user exhausted after prolonged use. You are thinking what I'm thinking, partner. Oh yeah. Especially since that'll fit my body, thanks to Shalba. Plus, how amusing is it that the descendant of Beelzebub was not only the catalyst of my new body, but also now I can modify his ugly eyes actually to be more like my own. Issei said before handing the paper back to Eris. I'll take the eyes. Eris was still stuttering her response until Issei felt his sight change. He blinked for a moment to see that Eris had a silver aura around her, which impressed him with his eyes before a full-body mirror was summoned in front of him, which made Issei chuckle at his appearance. Most things stayed the same in terms of his overall physique. His solid compressed muscles were still on full display, and his height didn't change. His hair, though, was a bit longer, reaching just past his shoulders, and was also a little lighter in color, being more hazel in color compared to the darker brown that it used to be. His cheekbones were a lot higher and more pronounced, giving him a bit of a noble face, but other than that, he was the same. When his new body was formed, spiritually and magically, Issei felt the most changes. He could feel his reserves of power had shot up exponentially. He could estimate that he was at least at the level of a high-class devil in terms of demonic power. It was a massive improvement from the meager reserves of power that he had a few months ago. He was looking forward to the other secrets this new body held. His eyes also changed to crimson blood, which amused Issei as his eyes had a tint of emerald green in them, until Issei activated his eyes to see that his eyes changed to now his eyes being crimson red. In contrast, his eyes were black as darkness, which made Issei smile at the sight before handing the mirror back to Eris. Alright then, so how do I get to this world? Issei asked before Eris remained silent after slapping her cheeks and opening a portal to a small town. This interested Issei before thanking her and leaving Eris, which made her sigh in relief that he was gone before turning to her boss. Was it really a good idea for him to take the eyes of the demon mother? They're demonic and dangerous. Eris explained, but her boss didn't seem to care, so she chuckled in response to her worries before speaking to Eris. Eris. There is a reason I place items like the eyes into the power selection, it's because the powers that resonate with the person the most will choose them. The goddess said, making Eris scared of who she had made a deal with before Eris's mother calmed her down. And I don't mean they'll be either good or evil, since there are demons who aren't evil like the humans, and you all make them out to be. There is more to a demon than outside appearances, but I doubt you'd believe me even if I told you. The woman said before turning to Eris. I'll be keeping an eye on him since I think he'll finally bring this matter to a close about the Demon King. Oh, and inform Aqua of the next soul since she is responsible for this Kazuma. Eris gulped while nodding before the woman walked away, making the goddess sigh while looking at her mother's back. She's just as terrifying when she is calm. Eris said while looking at her mother with eyes of admiration and fear. For you see, this was the goddess of creation. Urania. Urania, the neutral goddess of creation, exudes an aura of serene majesty that reflects her role as the ultimate creator and balancer of all things. Her appearance is designed to embody the harmony and duality of existence. Urania possessed an androgynous face that combined both masculine and feminine features, symbolizing the balance of gender and the unity of all beings. Her expression is calm and serene, with eyes that change color to reflect the mood and element she is embodying at any given moment: blue for tranquility, red for passion, green for growth, and so on. Her hair was a flowing cascade that shifts colors like a shimmering rainbow, representing the spectrum of life and elements she governs. It moves as if carried by an invisible breeze, giving her an ethereal, ever-changing look. Her skin has a subtle, iridescent quality, appearing to glow softly with an inner light. It can shift from a pale, moonlit hue to a warm, sunlit tone, depending on her focus. Urania wore a flowing robe that was woven from the very fabric of reality itself. The robe is a seamless blend of colors and patterns, constantly shifting and merging to depict scenes of creation, nature, and cosmic balance. Symbols of life and death, order and chaos, and the elements are intricately embroidered into the fabric, telling the story of the world's creation and the balance she maintains. Surrounding Urania was a faint, luminescent halo that radiates a calming energy. This aura changes colors to reflect her moods and the divine power she is channeling at the moment. She wore a circle of intertwined vines, stars, and flowing water atop her head, symbolizing her dominion over all elements and aspects of existence. Her fingers are adorned with rings that represent the various gods she created, each ring bearing a unique symbol corresponding to their domain. Urania's presence commands reverence and awe as she embodies the perfect equilibrium of all forces, the origin of creation, and the sustainer of the world's balance. Her appearance reflects her unparalleled power and the serene wisdom with which she governs the universe. Eris then looked back at the world she just sent a terrifying new soul into and could tell that this person was different from the others since they desired a fantasy dream, but this soul, Issei Haidu, seemed different from the others. I hope and fear for the future that will come from them, Eris said before going to check on her sister Aqua, which made her annoyed since Eris had to put up with a lot from her sister, and truthfully, she couldn't understand how an incompetent, narcissistic, selfish, and power-hungry woman could be a goddess. Now, back to our protagonist in Beginner's Town. Issei was sitting in the Adventurers Guild and was impressed by how it was handled since he saw there was a waiting area that was also a resting area for adventurers who had just come back from an adventure and needed some rest. So this is Beginner's Town. Home of the Eris cult. Not a bad place, if I'm being honest. Issei said as he looked at his hand and saw the magic in the airflow into him as he felt a small burst of magic enter his body. Whoa. That felt like being filled with a nice warm meal. Shouldn't we try to get money first before we try to get a house? Sorry, but it's nice and peaceful. I almost forgot what it's like to enjoy some peace due to the war back home. Issei said in his mind while Drake was silent, knowing his partner was right since the orc had been so busy with the war and their training that they were hardly able to enjoy and actually be a teenager. You make a valid point. Drake said before a maid walked over to his side. Excuse me, sir, but are you here to register as an adventurer? Issei nodded. That I am, miss, though I'm very new around here and I'm not sure where I should go to register. Good. I actually kept a decent conversation with a girl without staring at her chest, either. Issei said in his mind before the maid replied. Oh? Well, in that case, then you should see Luna. She's the one who helps rookies get registered as adventurers. The maid said before smiling at him. Oh, and thanks for making conversation with me instead of just seeing my chest. Love your reactions, and you're so cute that you make me want to eat you up. The maid said as she did a biting action before waving him a small farewell that left Issei shocked. Whoa. She's good. Issei said before looking at the receptionist's desk. So Luna, huh? Well, I might as well get registered. Although, I'm pretty sure Yen doesn't work here. Issei then headed to the front desk and saw a well-endowed woman with fair skin, wavy blonde hair tied back in a bun, and gold-colored eyes. She was doing her work with a smile on her face, which showed that she was a hard worker and loved her job. Her outfit consisted of a red ribbon worn around her neck, a wide off-the-shoulder low-cut top that revealed a large amount of cleavage, black shoulders and sleeve cuffs, low-rise jean shorts, and short brown boots. She notices Issei before she gets into her normal routine and stance. Hello there. How may I help you today? Are you here to make a request or join the guild? She noticed that Issei was wearing off clothes but then saw a sack of money in front of her eyes. Issei looked at her and replied. Registration. And I would also like this mansion that would suit my living accommodations as well as some equipment we may require. This should cover it all and then some more for insurance. The front desk lady opened the bag and saw so much gold that her eyes became Eris before she became the Flash. She then got the supplies and paperwork needed for the mansion that he had seen on the quest board earlier. What Luna didn't know was that Issei's yen was actually turned into Eris to suit the money issue, thanks to the goddess of creation, since she knew that Eris forgot to give Issei money to help him in the new world, so she took care of it for her daughter. Luna then bowed to Issei and smiled as she gestured to the device in front of her, which looked like a crystal ball with a needle at the bottom. This device will allow you to create your adventurer card that keeps track of your skills, rank, class, level, and more. Issei stepped forward and placed his hand on the orb before it glowed brightly as the laser etched into his card. The front desk lady looked at the card after the laser finished the job and handed it to him, but her eyebrows twitched as if she saw something that surprised her. Thank you for registering at the guild. We are honored to have you with us. May the gods bless you with safety as you help our kingdom. Luna then looked at Issei with a pen and asked. Now, what class would you like? We have 8 classes that adventurers can choose from. It's possible to have 2 classes, however, combining classes is difficult since some are not compatible with others, like Saber and Archer. However, choosing one class allows you to have sub-class skills that are compatible with the main class you choose. For example, Assassin has a subclass for those who wish to go down the path of the ninja. Luna explained while Issei went into thought until he scratched the back of his head with a sheepish grin. Could you maybe tell me what classes there are? I'm very new to this, you see. Luna couldn't help but giggle. She found Issei's sheepish reaction to be rather adorable before nodding. Of course. We have the Saber class that specializes in crusaders and warriors with a sword. They have special classes that allow you to increase your defense or power with your swings. Luna explained, showing how the sabers have subclasses along with the others, which fascinated Issei, since he did have Ascalon in his arsenal, so that would be a good one to use. Next are lancers that wield mighty spears. They are also the fastest of the classes. Archers rely on luck to make deadly and precise shots, while being able to travel in the thickest forests with ease and survive in them. Luna said before continuing the classes. Casters are self-explanatory. They are magic users. Riders or paladins can mount even the mightiest of beasts and charge into battle with them. Assassins or thieves can use their speed and traps to ensnare and kill their opponents. Luna said before pulling out the last two classes that were definitely dangerous but powerful. Berserkers are powerful warriors who use powerful brute force and massive amounts of power to take down an army of 1,000 warriors. Many demons had a skill that forced them to become a berserker at the cost of their life, but luckily, the berserker class prevented that consequence. And finally, the ruler class. This class is extremely powerful since it allows the adventurer to use the skills of all the other classes, but that is a 1 in a million shot. Luna explained that she had a board out, which made Issei whistle at them all, before wanting to test his luck. Can I try for ruler? Issei asked, which made Luna drop her pen, and the residents gasped as no one had tried to go for ruler since the war. Are you sure about this, I mean, no one has ever gone with that class since the war. Luna begged Issei to consider another class, but Issei spoke about this choice with Drake. Please don't say yes to ruler. I don't want a sweet young man like you to die because you chose a dangerous class. The ruler class would be the best option for us since not only would you be able to use all of the classes, but it'll also allow you to become stronger and better use your new body. Drake said while Issei looked at her seriously before nodding. Please, Luna. Let me try. Issei begged before Luna sighed, but nodded as she did her duty and pulled out a golden orb this time. This is the class orb. It'll allow you to see what classes you can have as your own. Luna said as she put Issei's left hand on it, which activated it. It burst into a golden light until Issei's card now had a class on it. Issei Haidu. Class. Ruler. Rank E. Level 1. Issei, Luna, and the others were shocked by Issei's draw before Luna stuttered a response. See, congratulations. Why, you're the first ruler we've had in 2,000 years. Luna said shakily as she tried to process what happened. Is it possible for me to go ahead and get a quest? How do I learn skills? Issei asked before Luna shook her head as she replied. Oh yes, you can go ahead and obtain a quest, but as for skills, that's simple. You use the experience points you gain from quests to learn new skills from others. For quests, all you have to do is go to the bulletin board and select one. Luna said before creating a screen that explained the rank and mission that could be granted to them. Since you are a rank E adventurer, you can only accept rank E and D quests. The quests range from rank ES. You start at rank E and D missions for beginning adventurers before you try to climb up to rank S, which is the highest ranking of them all. There are two types of quests. The first is normal quests, which is like an extermination mission or a wanted quest, which means you hunt down a criminal or do a task for a high-class being. Here are a few of them that are open for your rank. Luna explained before she pushed a few towards him. Issei thanked her and looked them over a bit before raising a brow at some of them. Quest. Rank D. Eliminate the goblin's nest that's harassing the farms and livestock. Reward. 10 silver arrows per goblin. Additional arrows for high-level goblins. Quest. Rank C. Escorting the princess to Axel. Reward and details are explained at the front desk. Quest. Rank E. Helping out at the Succubus Cafe. Reward and details are explained at the cafe. Quest. Rank E. Befriend a crimson demon who is looking for friends and willing to join a party before going on an epic adventure. Issei raised a brow at the last one, but he was also interested in the Succubus Cafe. Issei shrugged. He'd check out the Succubus Cafe later. Issei grabbed a quest that said befriend a crimson demon. A crimson demon, that sounds like a hard mission, so why is it rank E? Luna saw that one and hissed at that quest. I should warn you about this girl. She's a very sweet girl, but the issue is that she's a shy and clumsy girl who's great with magic but is not so good at social interactions. She puts the quest on the board and hopes someone will be her friend and go on an adventure with her so she can be part of the party, but sadly, she's used by others and only gets little from the party she's with. If you do go on a quest with her, make sure you accept her. She can be a very big help on the journey and with the other generals you'll have to face in the near future. Luna said before pointing to the quest board as a girl ran towards Issei and saw the quest paper in his hands. Her eyes became stars as tears formed under her eyes. She cried happily and hugged Issei, which put him in an awkward position. He gently patted her back and looked at Luna for help, but then she nodded and asked the crying girl. Want to introduce yourself, Yunyun, before you soak his clothes in tears? Oh. Sorry. The girl, now named Yunyun, straightened herself out before Issei nearly had a nosebleed and quickly covered his face with his hand. Yunyun was it? Yup. My name is Yunyun, it's nice to meet you. Issei cleared his throat with his free hand. Do you mind telling me why your shirt is so revealing? What do you mean? Issei looked at her outfit and asked. You are a caster, right? So why are you wearing such revealing clothes? Yunyun looked at her outfit and replied. These are my normal clothes. They were a gift from my mother and I heard that this was a way to make friends. She said while poking her fingers until Issei patted her back. I'd be more than happy to join you and if you want, we could work together as a team. Sounds great, no? Yunyun's eyes began to turn glossy. Why you mean it? Issei could see the hidden sorrow behind Yunyun's eyes. This made him clench his fist. To use such a kind woman like Yunyun because of her beauty and magic prowess unforgivable. Of course. Consider us partners, Yunyun. Issei said as Yunyun had tears on the side of her eyes. She cheered before hugging him again. Oh, thank you. Thank you. She yelled while crying tears of joy. Thank you too, but can you please get up? I have tear stains on my shirt. I'm so sorry. Issei chuckled lightly. It's alright, it'll dry. Now, I suppose that's a mention of success. Luna couldn't help but smile. Issei truly was a kind soul. Then I suppose I'll be taking that thank you. Since Yunyun didn't put any money into this mission, consider your new party member as a reward. Issei smiled. I wouldn't have it any other way. Yunyun smiled happily. Issei then grabbed the goblin quest. Goblins? Aren't they underlings to higher rank demons and the lowest that people tend not to take lightly? Issei asked until Luna nodded in response. You are not wrong, but they are aggressive but cunning creatures that, while individually weaker than humans, will usually gather in tribes numbering around a dozen. They are generally armed with simple weaponry, though high-ranking individuals may have access to exotic armaments, such as enchanted weapons and armor. Luna explained before Yunyun took over to show off her knowledge on the matter. Goblins are frequently the targets of subjugation quests. Many goblins living in the wild have a symbiotic relationship with the beginner's banes, in which the clever felines keep them safe from common threats so they can serve as bait to attract beginner adventurers. Goblins also attack farms and are usually killed by the vegetables growing there. The farmers dispose of their corpses by burying them far away, since their bodies are poisonous, and burning them will create a toxic smoke and pollute the soil. Yunyun said, which surprised Issei and Drake since they wondered what kind of vegetables the farmers grew before Yunyun continued. While in general, the structure of goblin society is primitive, for the few advanced societies like the Goblin Kingdom situated in the Goblin Cave neighboring Axel, there are developed hierarchies consisting of ranks including fighter, archer, hero, mage, soldier, general, warrior, guard, expeditioner, and king. Expeditioners are basically the goblins' version of an adventurer that also scouts areas to possibly attack, while the kings are the leaders of the clans. Yunyun said, which impressed Issei before Issei looked at the quest location. The neighborhood ruins. That's really its name? Issei asked while Drake facepamed the terrible naming of things and pondered who was behind it before Luna nodded and explained. We've received reports from civilians that low-ranked monsters have been appearing in the ruins lately. It once was a settlement situated so close to Axel that local inhabitants could walk there for a stroll by taking the old road connecting them. Unfortunately, it had since fallen into dilapidation, with the roofs having caved in long ago. Now, as it gets further overgrown by vegetation inside and out, only the stone walls and rotted wooden doors remain, which various low-ranked insect monsters call at home, which wasn't a problem since they were assault ants that merely wished to build a nest for their queen. Most of the time, they are harmless and won't attack unless provoked. And yet, despite its abandonment, the sewage system running beneath it still belongs under the administration of Axel. Luna explained as she pulled a map out from under the desk and showed the ruins, which only had one way in and out. So lately, the ants have been attacking civilians? Issei asked before Luna explained. No, actually, they said that it was goblins and assault ants attacking them, which is odd, since they hate other creatures invading their territory, Luna said before Issei pondered this information, until Yunyun chimed in with a question of her own. Weren't there adventurers there to investigate the ruins? Yes, but it's been a week since we've seen them, so I fear the worst may have fallen upon them. If the assault ants and goblins are working together, then they may be planning something which makes me think they're being led by either an assault ant queen or a goblin king. Luna said, suppressing a shiver as she feared the worst since she'd seen goblin victims, and it hardly ended well for them, which made Issei calm her down by placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. Don't worry, Yunyun and I will investigate the ruins and report back to you. Right, Yunyun? Issei asked the Crimson Demon before Yunyun cheered in happiness. You bet. I can't wait to show off my skills. I can't wait to see them, Issei said before the two were also given a bit of information that surprised Issei for a moment. They also appeared to have strange weapons that shoot metal projectiles so fast that it even stopped mages from casting their spells, Luna explained before Issei thanked her until the two headed to the ruins, which was a good distance away for the two to have some idle chatter. Still, Issei and Drake were having a conversation of their own in his mind. If what Luna said is true, then the strange weapons that she described were guns, which seems impossible since the town looked more medieval, plus they didn't have any blacksmiths that were capable of making a gun. I saw when we were walking in town, which makes me think that whoever is in charge as the Demon King seems to know modern weaponry back home, but we should be careful. If that's true, then Yunyun won't be ready for them. Issei replied to his partner before the group eventually made their way to the ruins. Yunyun and Issei stayed a distance from the ruins and used a pair of magic binoculars to see that the ruins seemed to be empty, but Yunyun could tell that there were guards there. I can't see much inside, but my binoculars definitely show me that there are at least 6 monsters at the entrance, Yunyun said, while Issei used his Diablo eyes to see the entrance and saw that there were 7 of them, 4 goblins and 3 assault ants. We can't take them since I'm smelling a hint of metal in the entrance, which makes me think that some of these special weapons that they have are at the entrance of the goblins, Issei said, thanking his dragon side before Yunyun asked. So what do we do? Issei pondered a plan before looking at Yunyun. Hey Yunyun, what kind of spells do you have in your arsenal? Issei asked while Yunyun suppressed the urge to squeal in joy, knowing this was her time to shine. Nighttime. The 4 goblins were a mix of soldiers and fighters, since they seemed to be wearing some armor that appeared to be rusty, while their weapons were short swords and daggers. The assault ants were scouting the perimeter as well, which made the goblins' lives easier as they were able to relax and hardly lift a finger, since the stupid humans didn't even care to investigate the whole entrance. Hey, don't you think the ante should have been reported by now? Goblin 1 asked while Goblin 2 just laughed in response. Oh please, what's the problem? They probably just found some food or something tasty. Just relax, and the ants will do our job for us. Goblin 2 said before yawning and falling asleep, making Goblin 1 sigh at his friend before yawning as well. Some sleep won't be such a bad idea. Goblin 1 said before falling asleep on the ground, which proved to be a mistake for Yunyun sighed in relief at her spells, sleep and paralyze, worked on the giblins before Yunyun took their weapons and stabbed them in the hearts, which made Yunyun almost want to throw up, but held it in, since she wanted to prove herself to her friend. Ugh, I hate this smell. Yunyun said before going into the ruins to see that the other 2 goblins were asleep, which allowed Yunyun to kill them with ease due to Issei's plan. The plan was for Yunyun to use sleep and paralysis on the goblins to knock them out and prevent them from fighting, while Issei took care of the assault ants. Yunyun sighed in relief, knowing that her work was done, before seeing Issei enter with an ant head in his left hand and chewing on it. Huh. A little crunchy but not the worst thing I've eaten. Issei said while enjoying the head as if he was eating a tasty snack while Yunyun almost gagged at the sight. How can you eat that? Basic survival skills. You can't afford to be picky with what you eat, and honestly, they taste good when you cook them right. Issei said before looking at the goblins and recalled them being poisonous until Issei picked up a corpse and breathed some fire to cook it until it was well done. Not bad. Issei said before looking at Yunyun, who was struggling to hold on to her food until Issei offered her some, which made Yunyun shake her head. Issei shoved some meat into her mouth, making Yunyun want to spit it out until the taste hit her tongue, which made her melt at the taste. Whoa. They're usually so poisonous that we bury them and wait for their bodies to decay. Yunyun said before Issei gave her some more of the goblin meat. Yunyun used Create Light to summon a small ball of light, which impressed Issei before looking at his card. He was shocked to see that his level rose a little just from 3 ants. Issei Haidu. Rank E. Class. Ruler. Level 5. Well, that's surprising, but at least it's better than 1. Hopefully, we can face something even more powerful or challenging, since those ants died after I merely punched them. Issei said to his partner before Drake explained. Well, your body is now 70% dragon, while 30% is devil, along with your body being created by one of the most powerful creatures back in our world, as well as having a small bit of power of office and Shalba Beelzebub power within you, so it makes sense that your body is physically stronger than you were before boosting. We should do some training after this to help you get better suited for your power, since the ruler class will be able to help you improve not only your strength but also the skills that you're lacking, such as magic. Issei liked this while Yunyun was searching the ruins before yelling and alerting Issei. He then ran to her side to see that Yunyun was on the ground and scared of what was in front of her, which shocked Issei as he saw 3 corpses that were definitely human. Issei then pulled out a watch-like mirror and contacted Luna, who was shocked to see them both. Then, Issei spoke for Yunyun, who was still scared of what was in front of her. "Luna. We found the adventurers that were sent here," Issei said, showing the corpses to Luna, who seemed shocked by them before speaking to him. But there were supposed to be 4 of them. I only see 3. Let me guess. The 4th member was a woman. Why yes. Then she's already dead. Goblins mostly only care about keeping females alive to produce more goblins until they can't anymore and die in the process. One thing that I hate about goblins is what they do to females and children when kidnapping them. Issei said that since he was able to see the memories when he consumed the souls of the goblins and ants. Issei's eyes flashed a deep bloody red in rage before he looked at Yunyun and took her outside and calmed her down. "You stay here and I'll check the rest of the ruins. You okay out here, Yunyun?" Yunyun didn't say anything before grabbing his sleeve and looking at him with pleading eyes. Please come back. I don't want to lose my only real friend." Yunyun stuttered before Issei nodded and kissed her forehead. "I'll come back. I promise," Issei said before heading into the ruins and looted the goblins' corpses and saw how much ammo they had for their guns. 24 bullets. That'll work, Issei said before cutting his finger open on his left hand and beginning to place it in the poisonous blood, which made Issei wince a bit before the blood began to go into his body, causing Issei to feel a bit strained until Issei was able to pull his hand back and look at how his devil side was able to enjoy it. "That was very, very dumb," Drake said before sighing. "But it appears that your devil side with Shalba's blood and magic activated, allowing you to be immune to poison and actually heal from it. Beelzebub was originally the demon of gluttony and lord of the flies. Shalba Beelzebub did indeed share the original Beelzebub's powers but was never able to unlock his bloodline heritage fully. But I was able to correct it. Your devil half was asleep, but now that you unlocked it, thanks to not only the Diablo eyes, but also the poisonous blood, you now can use the Glutton King powers, but they're extremely powerful, so like I said, the gluttonous one was one of the most feared and respected for a reason, and not just because he could manipulate others, but also his intelligence and skills in magic. This is why he became so obsessed with magic that others thought he would have been the demon of greed. However, unlike his brother, who was obsessed with material possessions, Beelzebub was obsessed with wanting to learn so much about magic. Which is why he dedicated his life to understanding his power and learned how to drain powers from others, which is why the Beelzebub bloodline are feared for not just their intelligence, but how they could have learned so much magic that would have wiped them all out. Greg explained as if teaching a history lesson, shocking Issei before looking at his left hand and seeing his devil body yearn for more blood, so Issei looked at his adventurer card and was shocked by his skills. Skills. Due to your blood being of the Beelzebub line, you have gained your bloodline skill, Gluttony, which allows the user to consume magical items and powers and use them to the user's advantage. Issei was impressed by his skill from his bloodline trait until he saw a few new skills appear. Due to you absorbing the essence of the goblins and assault ants, you have gained the skills. 1. Stealth detection. Enhanced ability to detect hidden enemies, learn from assault ant scouting behavior. Reflexes. Faster reaction time and agility, mimicking the quick movements of goblins. Resistance. Immunity to low-level poisons, useful against venomous creatures within the cave. Issei was impressed by his gluttony, which granted him new skills that would benefit him until he began to search the walls of the ruins for a passageway that the goblins and assault ants used to enter the ruins. If I'm right, then it should be about what Issei said to himself before stopping at a hollow point of the ruined walls until he lightly punched it again, hearing an echo making him smile. Here. Issei bashed into the wall and was surprised by how well hidden it was before seeing a totem with skulls on it, which made Drake click his tongue. Be careful, partner. There's a goblin shaman in here and they are not to be underestimated since, granted, they can use low-level magic, but their craftiness is an important factor to remember. Right. Issei replied before heading into the tunnels and using his stealth detection skill to ensure that he wouldn't be taken off guard by attacks from behind. Issei proceeded to the tunnels and was surprised to enter the depths, which were a network of chambers connected by warp portals. Issei also made sure to close the entrance behind him and prevent it from being open, which was a smart move since he was worried that Yunyun was still recovering from her shock. This is too easy, Drake said while Issei avoided another goblin before he replied to his partner. Don't jinx it, but I am surprised that we've dodged any real threats, but something else doesn't seem right, Issei said before entering what appeared to be a residential area and saw that many goblins and assault ants were slaughtered in the area. Issei and Drake were shocked that something or someone had already killed so many of them until the sound of footsteps entered the residential area and froze when seeing Issei before the goblin came into full view. This goblin's body was muscular and athletic, so it would be hard for bystanders to think that he was a goblin. A crude but practical breastplate protects his torso, and the great sword he uses is sheathed on his back. Issei was about to draw Ascalon until he noticed the goblin didn't show any fear or anger, but instead took his sword out and bowed to Issei before presenting the sword to him. "I surrender. All I ask is that you honor the wish of a dead soldier who failed to protect his king from his traitorous son." The goblin soldier said. Issei and Drake were shocked by this before Issei asked him, "What do you mean failed to protect your king? Wasn't your king's goal to invade beginner's town and kidnap women?" "No, never." The goblin yelled before calming down and sighing. "My king may have been a goblin, but he refuses to be a rapist since he grew to become a king of his strength and power." Unfortunately, his son on the other hand, the goblin prince, hated how his father refused to attack humans since the goblin prince believed humans were below us goblins, which is why he rallied over half of our soldiers, betrayed his father, and killed those who wouldn't fall in line. Issei was shocked by this, as well as Drake, since he had seen goblins back in their world when he had a body, but he saw many goblins were cut from the same cloth, and the ones who were good goblins were extremely rare to find. "Then how many of your friends are there?" "Dead. My comrades were killed by that bastard prince, and the lick was brought with him," the soldier said before letting his tears fall and revealing a massive scar on his front body after taking off his armor, shocking Issei again before seeing how much pain he was truly in until the goblin asked Issei a favor. "I know I'm already dead, but I must ask you a question, adventurer. Please kill the goblin prince and the traitors along with the lick. They'll kill many innocent humans and destroy their homes, so please kill him and avenge my fallen brethren and king," the goblin soldier said while bowing to Issei before Issei accepted the sword and handed it back to him. "Then let's go fight him together. If you're going to die, then wouldn't it be better to die while killing the prince?" Issei asked, making the goblin smirk in response. "I may be near death, but I still got a few swings in me," the goblin said before putting the sword back on his back. "By the way, named Jujum. I am honored to fight with you, adventurer. My name is Issei Haidu, and I'm more than a mere adventurer. I'm the Diablo dragon ruler," Issei said, making Jujum smile in respect before the two continued to make their way past the residential areas until they reached the barracks. Where many weapons were left behind that were either old and gathering dust or rusted and broken, until Issei picked up some armor and looked over the armors that ranged from light to heavy types, leather and iron, until he looked at the weapons which ranged from swords and daggers. Issei was about to deny the armor and weapons since he had Ascalon and the boosted gears armor to help him until his eyes caught a pair of gauntlets that were black as night and had some red in them. "Whoa. Careful, kid. Those are blood gauntlets. They have retractable spikes on the knuckle, which are also poisonous. Those are cursed weapons that are not for a beginner to use. Trust me. They even scared me when I found them back in my soldier days, and even my king was still nervous about being around them," Jujum said as the ominous aura around them shook his body. Issei stared at the blood gauntlets for a moment longer before the red on the black gauntlet started to glow brightly. The blood gauntlets then began to tremble as if they were purring at Issei. Jujum could only stare at the blood gauntlets with a dumbfounded expression. "As I live and breathe, a cursed weapon actually bonded with someone," Jujum stated in awe, shocking Drake as well before Issei adventurer card appeared before him. Armor gained for Saber class. Blood gauntlets. Acquire the rest of the armor to make this your default armor for the Saber class. Issei picked one of the gauntlets up and slipped it on his left arm before it shrunk to his size. The aura from the gauntlet filled his body with power and made him smile. "This feels amazing," Issei said as he picked up the other gauntlet and felt even more power enter his body until Jujum gasped as he saw Issei's strength grow, but his endurance seemed to have fallen a bit. "Those are dangerous ones since they grant the user incredible power, but at a cost since those blasted gauntlets feed on blood, and once they reach a limit, they can make you release the fury of a wild beast on par with a dragon. So heed my words carefully and don't give in to its bloodlust. Or else you'll end up dead," Jujum said as he was worried about the boy and pondered how a rookie reacted to a cursed weapon like that. Greg had a theory but was too busy smiling as he was feeling his partner's power grow and realized that this was the perfect way for Issei to not only gain weapons and armor, since he was concerned with Issei relying too heavily on the boosted gear, but if this armor was really that strong and suitable for a demon, then it will work wonders for his partner. The blood gauntlets began to shake violently, as if angered by Jujum's words. Issei seemed surprised for a moment until he began to hear whispers. "Protect the Diablo Dragon King. Hail to the Diablo Dragon King. No harm shall befall the Diablo Dragon King." Well, if you want them, then I might as well give you the armor that came with those gauntlets, Jujum said as he pulled out some lightweight armor off the rack that was as black as the blood gauntlets until the armor shook as if it was resonating with Issei before it flew towards the rookie and bound itself to his body. Surprisingly, Issei didn't feel any pain but felt warm and protected as if his devil side was accepting the armor, which impressed Drake since he figured that his new body was the reason why the armor was reacting to Issei. I'll be damned. Those items you're wearing came from a demon general who was a Death Knight before he was killed. The Death Knight was once a legendary warrior who was able to strike fear into the hearts of others with just one glare. Jujum said as Issei then looked at his card and saw that his endurance actually grew as well, along with a new default. Armor gained for Saber class. Cursed armor set has been set as the default form for Saber class. Does this cursed armor have any unique abilities? Issei asked as Aiden replied. Well, that armor was able to tank even the most powerful of magic, but the problem is that the armor consumes magic to repair itself, meaning if you don't have enough magic to feed it, then it'll feed on the magic of others. Its name was Magic Consumer, and mages gave it due to the many lives that died trying to pierce that armor. Jujum explained while Issei was surprised by the armor and the lives that it took before Jujum sighed as he waved a hand at the boy's worried face. You don't have to tell me you're not like that. I can see it in your eyes that you are different. If that armor chose you, then I can see you taking down those other demon generals as you grow, kid. Jujum said as he patted Issei's back before going to the sword racks. He brought a sheath with a sword shaped like a katana. This was with the armor. If you could wield those cursed items, then perhaps this sword will accept you, too. Jujum said as he showed that he couldn't pull the blade out, but when Issei tried it, bloodlust filled his mind and a seductive voice spoke to him. Kill them. Kill them all. Fill me with blood. Issei quickly sheathed the sword as he breathed heavily from the rush of emotions until Jujum explained the sword. And that was the last piece of the Death Knight armor. His blood sword. It's a deadly sword that has a vampiric curse inside of the blade itself. It feeds off on the blood that's either from the user or the enemy, but when the blade cuts the enemy, well, let's say that they died a very painful death and leave it at that. Aiden said as Issei was frightened of the sword as he could still feel the vampire wanting to come out before he thanked Jujum for the weapons and armor. Thanks. This might suit my Saber class. Issei said as his adventurer card registered the cursed armor as his default armor and the sword as his weapon for the Saber class. Heh. Not a bad kid. Now, let's get going. I guess that we'll have to head straight to the throne room since that's where the prince will be. Jujum said while he readied his sword before Issei agreed with him until the two headed to said throne room, where they saw a few strange chimera-like creatures that Issei saw Jujum look at in shock before growling in rage. That monster. Golrath didn't even spare those who sided with him. What kind of king does he think he is? Jujum asked in rage before Issei looked back at the illusions and could tell they were combinations of goblins and assault ants. The chimera beast stood about 5 feet tall, with the muscular build of a goblin and the armored exoskeleton and multiple limbs of an assault ant. Its eyes glow with a sinister green light before Jujum and Issei feels pushed into the arena, shocking Issei since his detection didn't even detect any enemies before a laugh echoes through the arena. Did you really think that we didn't notice you, Jujum? And I see you brought a human with you to face us. The voice said before a figure stepped out to reveal themselves as a tall hobgoblin with a crown on his head while a lick that seemed to be wearing wizard robes and wielding a magic staff while glowing with unholy magic, along with a goblin shaman standing next to the lick laughing at the two fools in front of him, but Issei noticed that the staff the shaman held was a priest's staff. Jujum glared at the hobgoblin and was about to attack him until Issei stopped him. Calm down. Like it or not, Golrath is the one in control of the situation. Issei said while looking at the 20 chimeras in the throne room. I have to admit that I am impressed by your army, Issei said to the hobgoblin before asking him. So the plan is for the army of chimeras to run through Beginner's Town and lay it to waste, so your lick friend has more bodies to use for himself. You are correct, and I am no ordinary goblin prince. I am Galrath, the goblin king. And you both aren't leaving here alive, so entertain me as my chimeras tear you apart. Garth said before snapping his fingers as the shaman yelled while trying to get out of the cage that appeared around the duo, the illusions, and the locked-in shaman. I'll deal with the left, and you get the right. Jujum asked before Issei nodded in response and began to fight the chimeras with his new armor. The spiked knuckles dug into the armor and made the chimeras scream in pain. Issei smirked at this before he grunted from a chimera trying to ram him through with its mandibles, but the armor held strong until the mandibles snapped, causing the chimera to scream in pain before Issei decided to use some fire, so he took a deep breath. Taste this. Issei breathed out a stream of flames that cooked 2 of the chimeras on his side before he turned to the other 8, who were scared of him. Issei charged at the 8 and began to bash their heads or burn them alive, leaving the shaman alone until he tried to mutter a spell. However, Issei wouldn't have it as his eyes flared up, making the shaman paralyzed in fear before Issei smashed a fist into the goblin's head and killed it. Good thing my eyes strike fear in them, Issei mumbled to himself before picking up the staff and was amazed by his card registering it. Caster weapon found. Priestess of Light Staff. Do you wish to equip the primary weapon of your caster class? Yes, Issei said before his armor changed to match that of the caster. His armor was lighter and a cape appeared on his shoulders. Caster weapon skills. Locked until requirements are met. Well, isn't that helpful? Issei said sarcastically before seeing Jujum struggle with the chimeras. Then, Issei rushed over to the goblin's side and bashed the chimeras' heads with his staff. Thanks, kid. Don't thank me yet. Jujum and Issei then began to swap roles as defender and fighter as they took down the last of the chimeras until it was just the two of them left. Suddenly, a slow clap was heard from Galrath before he commented on them. Aw, well, isn't this nice? A goblin and human working together. Garth said in fake joy before gagging. It sickens me. The Lick then growled at them before heading into the arena and muttering a spell while his chimeras began to return from the grave. Let's see how you deal with a master of the undead. The Lick cackled before the chimeras began to overwhelm the duo as their physical attacks were doing nothing, and sadly, the two were pinned as Issei was slammed into a wall. At the same time, Jujum was held in a chokehold by the Lick, who seemed to be using some skill to drain Jujum's life, making Issei yell for him. Jujum? Jujum smirked as he looked back at Issei and had a face of acceptance. Thank you for being my comrade, Jujum said before the Lick killed the goblin. Issei had seen many people die back in his world and he was sick of how he was unable to do anything now. Even after Jujum gave him the cursed armor and inside help, Issei was still unable to save him. Do you desire power? Issei didn't know who was asking, but nodded his response. I do. Will you use this power to save others and punish those who deserve it? I will. Jujum was innocent and wanted to protect his king, so he gave his life to help me. Issei said, unaware that the staff was responding to his will. And I, Solarius, the sun god, grant you this opportunity to hold some power in your caster form, since I'm intrigued by what kind of ruler you'll become in the future. Solarius said before Issei saw an image appear in his mind. A radiant towering figure bathed in golden light, with a crown of sunlight and robes that shimmer like the dawn. His eyes glow with the intensity of the midday sun, and he wields a staff that channels his immense power. The staff shined brightly as the head became that of the sun, while the Lick and Golrath looked at him in shock, before Issei spoke a chant while he felt the power of Solarius flowing through him, and the staff in his hand transformed, radiating brilliant light. The Lick and Galrath looked on in shock as Issei began to chant. By the grace of Solarius, let the light of the sun purge the darkness from this land. Solar flare. A burst of intense golden light erupted from the staff, incinerating the undead chimeras and sending Galrath and the Lick reeling. The light was so powerful that it illuminated the entire throne room, banishing shadows and revealing the true extent of the Lick's corruption. Galrath roared in fury and charged at Issei, but the light shielded him, repelling the Goblin King. The Lick attempted to cast another spell, but the light disrupted his magic, causing it to backfire. Jujum, your sacrifice will not be in vain, Issei vowed, channeling more of Solarius's power. The Lick, realizing his disadvantage, tried to retreat, but Issei's resolve was unwavering. With a determined glare, he directed the staff at the Lick. Divine Radiance. A beam of pure light shot from the staff, striking the Lick and obliterating him. The remnants of his undead magic dissipated and the chimeras crumbled to dust. Galrath, now alone and weakened, stumbled back, but Issei was relentless. He approached the Goblin King, who fell to his knees, the power of the light overwhelming him. Your reign of terror ends here, Issei declared. With one final powerful strike, Issei brought down the staff, releasing a wave of light that consumed Galrath, purging him of his darkness and ending his threat. The throne room fell silent and the light began to fade. Issei stood over the fallen Goblin King, breathing heavily. He looked at Jujum's lifeless body and felt a sense of sadness but also determination. We did it, Jujum. Your king is avenged. As the light from the staff dimmed, Issei knew that this was just the beginning. With the power of Solarius and the legacy of Jujum's sacrifice, he would continue to fight for justice and protect the innocent. Solarius's blessing granted Issei not only the power to defeat the Lick and Galrath, but also a deeper connection to the divine. He now carried the god of the sun and light's blessing, a beacon of hope and justice in a world plagued by those who wish to harm others. You have gained new abilities to your caster form thanks to your blessings. Solar Flare. Unleashes a burst of intense sunlight that incinerates enemies and disrupts dark magic. Divine Radiance. Creates a protective aura of light that repels darkness and enhances allies' strength and resilience. Sun God's Blessing. A passive ability that grants Issei increased resistance to dark magic and the power to heal wounds with sunlight. Caster Class Default Weapon. Priest of Light Staff, now imbued with Solarius's power. Warning. They are only accessible when using the caster form, but being in your ruler form will allow you to use its full potential, but only when you have unlocked your 5 other classes. As the light from Solarius's blessing faded, Issei felt a strange pull from the remnants of the Lick. The air crackled with dark energy, and before he could react, Lick's soul was drawn into him. Issei gasped as a flood of knowledge and power surged through his mind and body. Lick skills absorbed. Necromancy. 1. Raise dead. Summon skeletons or zombies to fight alongside Issei. 2. Corpse explosion. Detonate a summoned undead, causing damage to nearby enemies. Arc magic spells. 1. Shadow bolt. Launch a bolt of dark energy that deals damage and has a chance to curse the target. 2. Dark shield. Create a barrier of shadows that absorbs damage. Life drain. 1. Drain touch. Absorbs the strength and stamina of the target and may even be able to transfer it to somebody else. Issei stood in the aftermath of the battle, feeling the weight of his new powers. He looked at the fallen Jujum and silently promised to use these abilities wisely. Issei knew he couldn't linger in the Goblin Cave for long. He needed to return to Beginner's Town and inform the adventurers of what had transpired. With a determined heart and newfound abilities, he made his way back through the tunnels, ready to protect those he cared about and confront any new threats that awaited him. The Diablo dragon ruler had grown stronger and his legend was beginning to unfold. However, before he could leave the dungeon, he was drawn to the treasury by some unknown force. Issei made it there and walked in to see so many treasures and items, but the one that stood out was a helmet and other pieces of armor that he had on him. Issei was amazed and about to grab them, but the doors slammed behind him. Issei's vision darkened when he heard a voice speak to him. "So you are the one my brother blessed. The new ruler from another world." The voice said before Issei turned around to see a being that radiated the same energy as Solarius, but their power radiated an aura of death. "Who are you?" Issei asked before the figure of the voice appeared to be a woman. The figure stepped forward, revealing a woman with ethereal beauty. She had long, flowing hair as dark as the night, adorned with silver streaks that glimmered like stars. Her eyes glowed with a haunting blue light, and her presence exuded a chilling yet mesmerizing power. "I am Lunaria, the goddess of the moon and death," she replied with a melodic whisper that echoed through the chamber. "My brother, Solarius, has granted you his light, and I have come to bestow upon you my gift. Also, since I am curious like my brother, however, he got to you first before me," Lunaria said with a pouting face. Issei felt a shiver run down his spine as Lunaria approached him, her aura enveloping him in a cold embrace. He could sense the immense power she wielded, both awe-inspiring and terrifying. "Do not fear, young ruler," Lunaria said softly like a mother would to their child. "With my blessing, you shall gain the strength to control the darkness within you and harness the power of death itself. Use it wisely, for life is not meant to be toyed with over and over again." Issei stood in the presence of Lunaria, her cold aura a stark contrast to the warmth he felt from Solarius. She looked at him with a mix of curiosity and authority. "I have seen the skills you absorbed from the Lick," Lunaria began, her voice resonating with a haunting melody. "While they are powerful, they require refinement to suit your nature and the armor you now wear for your saber class." She extended her hand, and Issei's adventurer card floated towards her. With a touch, it glowed with a dark ethereal light as she modified his skills. Skills from the Lick have been modified to suit the Lick skills absorbed and for the curse armor. Death's Embrace. An enhanced version of the Lick soul absorption ability, allowing Issei to drain stamina and life force from his enemies with each strike of the blood sword. Shadow Cloak. The combination of Shadow Step and Lick's teleportation enables Issei to blend into the shadows, becoming nearly invisible for a short duration and moving swiftly. Wraith Shield. Grants temporary invulnerability by transforming into a wraith-like state, allowing Issei to evade physical and magical attacks for a limited time. Skills can only be accessed when using the saber form. Lunaria then spoke of the armor. "The cursed armor you wear is powerful but incomplete. To unlock its full potential, you must claim the remaining pieces in the treasury here. The helmet, the boots, and the leg armor. Only then will the armor's true abilities be revealed." "Thank you, but what are they capable of?" Issei asked before Lunaria then described the abilities of the remaining armor pieces. Issei felt his saber form was completed thanks to the remaining pieces fusing with his saber form. Armor pieces and abilities. Helmet. 1. Enchanted Perception. Allows the wearer to detect hidden enemies and traps. Boots and leg armor. Stability of the mountain. Increases the wearer's balance and stability, making it harder to be knocked down. Lunaria extended her hand, and Issei's adventurer card floated back to him, now shimmering with her dark blessing. Saber form has gained a blessing. Lunaria's blessing. Lunar Empowerment. It increases the user's magic resistance and enhances his physical strength during the night or in the presence of moonlight. Necrotic Surge. It allows the user to temporarily boost his magical power by drawing from the energy of the dead around him. Nocturnal vision. It grants enhanced sight in darkness, making it easier to navigate and fight in low-light environments. Warning. Blessings are only available when the user is in saber form. Use these gifts wisely, young ruler, Lunaria said, her voice softening. You carry the powers of both the sun and the moon. Do not let the darkness consume you, but rather, let it be a guide through the shadows. With that, Lunaria's form began to dissipate, leaving Issei alone in the treasury. Determined and empowered, he knew his journey was far from over. Issei left the treasury. After taking the treasure from the treasury, of course, his path was illuminated by the light of the sun and guided by the shadows of the moon. The Diablo dragon ruler, now warrior of both realms, was prepared to forge his destiny and protect those he cared about from any threat that dared to challenge him. Later, at Beginner's Town Guild. This is incredible. Luna stuttered while looking at the report that Issei and Yunyun gave to her after they told her the quest was completed. Not only did you prevent a battle that we wouldn't have seen coming that would have resulted in so many lives being lost, but you also found the bodies of the adventurers who were killed by the goblins and even reported their treasury. Luna was so shocked that she even reported to the guildmaster, and Issei was surprised to see him since the guildmaster, a black-haired man leaning back into a chair with a blissful expression on his face, before noticing Issei and waving him to the chair before his large desk. Luna and Yunyun left Issei in the office until Issei spoke to him. Issei was shocked to hear that the guildmaster was from Japan like others were, but also the fact that the guildmaster was also over 100 years old and was rather impressed by Issei's first quest and didn't mind that Issei took the money from the treasury for himself, since Issei didn't seem the greedy type of person. Issei was still grateful for the quest until the guildmaster asked Issei if he would be interested in climbing the ranks, since he had a feeling that Issei would be able to climb the ranks as a real adventurer. Issei smiled in thanks. He then asked Luna for a home since he wasn't interested in the stables. Issei also wanted to help Yunyun, so Issei bought a home with the money he earned. It shocked Luna when Issei saw a nice home for a good deal. A small mansion in the suburbs, with just a few rooms, but still bigger than a Japanese house. Issei and Yunyun really loved it and thanked Luna for the home. The god's domain. In the ethereal realm of the gods Godin, Eris, Solarius, and Lunaria, they gathered amidst the celestial radiance, their forms shimmering with divine light. Eris, still skeptical about Issei Haidu, voiced her concerns once more. I still don't understand why you both blessed him, Eris said, her voice tinged with apprehension. He's a devil, after all. Devils are known for their deceit and betrayal. How can we trust that he won't betray us? Solarius, the god of the sun and life, sighed softly, his golden aura pulsating gently. Eris, dear sister, we must look beyond stereotypes. Remember, our ability to discern motivations is what sets us apart. Issei Haidu, despite being a devil, shows promise and a sense of duty. Lunaria, the goddess of the moon and death, who had been silent until now, spoke with a measured tone. Solarius speaks true, Eris. Our ability to discern motivations is what sets us apart. I have observed Issei's dreams and his aspirations, there is more to him than the surface suggests. Where are our brothers and sisters? Lunaria asked before Eris replied with a nervous smile. Well, you see, the thing is that Issei Eris said while getting ready for the laughter from her older siblings. Plus, she was also thinking about what her brother and sister said to her about her view on devils and demon. It had been a week since their shared goblin quest, and it suffices to say that the duo ruler and caster were very compatible with each other, since Issei and Yunyun were able to help each other become stronger in different areas. Issei was the fighter and helped Yunyun learn how to be more assertive and confident in herself after hearing how the other members of the Crimson Demon clan treated her just because she didn't act like a delusional Chunibyo, but also didn't even bother befriending her, made Issei disgusted at how a village turns its back on the village chieftain's own daughter and even her father didn't help all that much with her social life. Also, having to spend your birthdays alone reminded Issei of when he was alone when Irina moved away. That caused him to be a social outcast, since others never bothered to approach him, so Issei decided to help Yunyun conquer her loneliness and prove to her that they were truly friends, such as taking her to a nice cafe to enjoy some sweets and tea. Going on a few quests has been excellent for their bonding, since Yunyun was also enjoying Issei's company. He didn't care about her being an outcast from her village and actually enjoyed her company, granted other parties wanted her to join. Still, her actions made her a bit of a mess, thinking they'd dump her after they had finished their quest. Yunyun was also surprised to see that Issei was not only a ruler, but from another world with drag in the boosted gear, which amazed Yunyun so much that she asked Issei if she would be willing to make her his student, which Issei denied and suggested they help each other, since both of them needed help in different areas. Issei promised to help Yunyun with her social skills and combat training. In contrast, Yunyun would help Issei with magic training, since he's never actually used magic before and mostly relies on combat with the boosted gear. Which leads to now. Issei was in the backyard of his home as he practiced one of the spells that he asked Yunyun to teach him. The spells that Yunyun had on her skill card truly amazed, but given the fact that he only had his saber and caster forms unlocked, it was difficult for him since he couldn't use Yunyun's spells in those forms, except the ones blessed to him by the gods who gave his forms those powers. Yunyun's list of spells amazed Issei, since he had many ideas on how he could combine the spells with the Dragon's Flames technique that he used, which was one of his 2 magic-based attacks. Issei decided to use his experience points to learn beginner and intermediate magic from Yunyun. Issei learned to create fire and water, since they would be useful when traveling, and they needed magic to either light a campfire or clean water. As for intermediate magic, Issei decided to learn Fireball, which he modified as Burst, which basically fired the fireball. However, it also took the explosion's effect and created a wider range. Freeze Gust and Lightning were excellent options for Issei, but he modified Freeze Gust into a new type known as Heat Wave, which allowed Issei to not only create a wave of warm air, but also make it easier to burn his enemies. Lightning was fun for him since he had an idea from a game that he played back home and modified the spell to a chain effect, so instead of just shooting a single lightning bolt, it goes through multiple enemies and targets. Sleep, Unlock, Paralyze, and Flash were sent to Issei's assassin form, since the spells were perfect for that class, since assassins were stalkers in the night that needed to be fast, efficient, and deadly. However, the more advanced spells were odd, since Issei's caster form accepted the Light of Saber spell, as well as Energy Ignition, since the 2 were powerful against demons. With Issei's caster form being blessed by the God of Light, their power was maximized for full power. Cursed Lightning and Cursed Crystal Prison were strange ones since they didn't seem to suit Issei, so he skipped those 2, as well as Lightning Strike, which took a little too long for his liking, as well as Bottomless Swamp, since it also didn't suit Issei's fighting style. Now, the results for the spells Inferno, Tornado, Teleport, Silent, Light of Reflection, and Control of Weather were mixed. Apparently, Issei's partner enjoyed the Inferno spell, since they were able to make it much more powerful that they recreated it into a new attack known as Meteor Strike, which was basically making the Inferno spell into a massive attack that would be sent at the enemy from the sky and explode. Tornado was actually very useful since Issei had a fun idea from an I'm back home and decided to use it to allow him to get higher if he couldn't use his wings, which also led to him unlocking his archer form that allowed him to use a special ability called Tornado Shot, basically as an arrow that flies with the speed of the wind and the destructive power of a tornado. Teleport, Silent, and Light of Reflection were excellent spells Issei learned for his assassin form. Still, his teleport was also kept in his base set of skills, which worked well for him, but Yunyun also warned him that it would only work if he placed a marker on a specific target, so Issei only used 2, one at his home and the other in town. Control of Weather wasn't exactly useful to him, so he skipped that one, but on the plus side, Yunyun explained how it would be very useful for her more than Issei, since she had a feeling of Issei's fighting style. Issei was also amazed he was able to unlock his archer and assassin form, which meant he now had 4 of the 7 classes that he needed before he could use ruler class. Yunyun was amazed by this and helped Issei fine-tune his classes since the gods of the world blessed 2 and 2, which were normal. Issei also seemed to notice that when he unlocked his assassin class, his skills from both the assault ants and goblins, except for low poison resistance, were gone. Drake then explained it was because when he unlocked the class with a spell, his assassin form got rid of any that would be useless. Yunyun explained that it was also why she was an arch-wizard. She could use some warrior spells like Lights of Saber as a sword, but she couldn't use warrior skills, such as 1- or 2-handed swordsmanship or decoy. This made sense to Issei, since some mixed classes would allow you to have skills that are perfect for the user in battle, which impressed Issei before the duo decided to head to town and see if there were any interesting quests that they could take that would be a challenge. Issei, in just 1 week, rose from rank E to B almost immediately due to the many higher ranking missions that the guildmaster allowed. Yunyun was also able to rank C, which makes sense since Yunyun was ranked D, but was denied a promotion because she always left any group after the quest was done, which was due to her low self-esteem and social skills. Yunyun was a bit embarrassed by her old self, but Issei reassured her that she was rather adorable when she blushed, making Yunyun smile and thank Issei for being so patient with her despite her quirks. So what kind of quest should we go for now? That last one we had was fun facing those groups with one-punch bears and white wolves. Issei asked, which made Yunyun giggle since the mission was basically an extermination mission to clear out a group of bears and wolves that were causing trouble for villages near them, but when Issei and Yunyun got there, the 2 groups were shocked by 2 legendary adventurers since the names Issei and Yunyun earned among monsters were the Crimson Duo. The deadly crimson-eyed beauty followed a warrior with the eyes of a demon and a crimson aura that petrified anyone to think they were facing a dragon. The bears and wolves begged for their lives to be spared, which shocked the duo until they learned that the bears were forced to flee their home due to a troll and his army taking over their home, which led to Issei and Yunyun helping them out and defeating the war troll. The one-punch bears and white wolves were so thankful that they offered the two a chance to join their clans, but the two denied the offer, saying that they just wanted to help the people and that if they could help the monsters, then what was wrong with that? This made the clans cry tears of joy and amazement, as Issei and Yunyun were known among the monsters as merciful creatures. Also, Issei and Yunyun didn't want to kill them, since they never actually harmed or killed anyone. They just wanted to be safe in their homes and not draw unwanted attention. The duo continued heading to the guild to see that it was not so busy as usual before they looked at the guild board to see that there were some odd ones for the adventurers board. 1. Looking for a party member. The current party consists of a crusader and thief at the moment, preferably looking for a brute and violent new member, any class is fine. 2. Looking for a party member, the current party consists of a magician and a priest. There are 3 members at the moment, including a top-tier class. I sincerely want to save the world by having a crusade against the demon lord, even novices are welcome. How about it? Shall we save the world together? 3. Recruiting. The team consists of a super beautiful and outstanding archpriest and impolite weakest class Hikanite who wants to carry on a journey of heroes and take an exciting and happy risky adventure with the super beautiful and outstanding archpriest guided by the goddess of water herself. Hurry and join us. The condition to enter the team is only limited to a top-tier class and agrees that the Eris cult is a cult of the heathen. This made Issei and Yunyun tilt their heads a bit since they all seemed to how do I say this without being rude. Issei groaned at the 3 since the first one. The first part is very normal, but at the end, what's up with the brute and violent part? The second one was very normal, but was it a crusade against the demon lord? It seems like a nice objective, right? But this is beginner city, so why would a beginner want to crusade against a demon lord this early on? As for the third one, there were words needed to point out the weirdness. Issei realized that this world is pretty weird for some obvious reason, first Yunyun's case, and now this. One thing Issei found out about this world was that there were a bunch of cults that existed there. The most famous ones were the Eris cult and the Axis cult. The Eris cult is the national religion of the Belzerd kingdom. People believe in goddess Eris as the one who controls the fortune of this world or goes by the name goddess of fortune Eris. It also controls some of the life and death that happens in this world. That's also why the Eris cult is the most famous, even the currency named after her is Eris currency. Now, as for the Axis cult, that was infamous for the opposite reason, which meant they were known for their notoriety, and their followers were known to be having some screw loose or just plain weird in the head. Their followers will stop at nothing for their missionary job, from fraud to appeal, etc. What's worse is that they always slander the Eris cult, such as the evil cult, heathen cult, crazy cult, etc. They will even smash the windows of the Eris church and beat up the believers of the Eris cult. This is also why some people thought the Axis cult belonged to the demon lord because of their notoriety. It's also why no one is willing to get involved with the Axis cult. Now Issei knows what he almost got himself into back then, when he just arrived in this world. When one of the citizens of said cult told him that the Axis cult should bring him salvation, that little girl with the pamphlet, if he recalls correctly, also had an Axis cult symbol on it. It made Issei believe that a member of the said cult who posted the third request is one of the Axis cult members. Then, while Issei was still thinking about this post, he heard the rowdy voices of a man and a woman. Since the guild is mostly empty at the moment, that voice clearly stands out. At a wooden table located at the corner of the guild hall, a man and woman are sitting together. The man is about 16 to 17 years old, average, looking young. He has short and slightly spiky chestnut brown hair and green eyes. He wears one set of sportswear unexpectedly because Issei knows that in this world, there's no sportswear like what the man is wearing now. In Issei's world, that's a common outfit, but in this world, he never saw one. The young girl thought it was quite beautiful. She has a slim figure with ample breasts, long legs, and blue waist-long hair that is partially tied into a loop with a water molecule-shaped clip. Her clothes carry a blue color scheme, and her ordinary attire consists of a vest, detached sleeves, thigh-high boots, an extremely short miniskirt, and a transparent underskirt. The man was talking to the girl at the moment and didn't seem pleased at all. "You unexpectedly really post that kind of request on the bulletin board?" the guy said, having an incredulous look on his face while looking at the girl. "What's wrong? Admires my outstanding style very much. If an envious man such as yourself wants me to teach you, then of course. So long as Kazuma kneels here while loudly shouting, 'Please teach me, Aquasama, I will teach you.' said the girl, who was quite a beauty, but it was ruined by the rampant domineering expression she has right now. The response of that Kazuma guy to the girl is a slap in her head with a loud pack sound. It hurts. What are you doing? Ah, you're asking what I am doing. Naturally, try to fix that head of yours. Who knows, maybe after you hit your head, it might be fixed. Admires. Admire your head. What envies? Envious that you said, the team consists of a super beautiful and outstanding archpriest and impolite weakest class Hickanite. Such words want me to admire and envy. You useless goddess. I'm not a useless goddess. I am a super beautiful and outstanding goddess of water. You are impolite and the weakest class, Hickanite. Who died because of shock caused by a slow-moving tractor. Very good, it seems like it should be time to discard you, this useless goddess. I will change the requested content into archpriest for sale. Does not need to provide any food, only needs to sprinkle water for her. Regards as raising a grass, then it's alright, you just wait here for me. Aya. Was I making a mistake? Was I making a mistake? Kazuma-sama. Kazuma-sama. Please forgive me. Saying that the super beautiful and outstanding archpriest lay on the ground, cried while holding onto the legs of the youth, and got dragged along with the youth who wanted to head towards the bulletin board. Issei and Drake had the urge to get out of there quickly because he felt that if he got involved with this duo, then both he and Yunyun would have to deal with this odd duo. When Issei wanted to walk out of the guild, he saw a girl suddenly show up at the entrance and then drop down in front of him. The small girl on the floor looks like a 12 to 13-year-old young girl. She had shoulder-length dark brown hair. She wore classical witch attire such as a black cloak with a gold border, choker, wizard's hat, fingerless gloves, and carried a black staff. When Issei wanted to walk past the girl, she suddenly grabbed onto Issei's ankle with a hey sound. She proceeded to say. You see a beautiful young girl fall to the ground. Generally speaking, you should check and see if she's okay and offer some help, right? This made Issei's face twitch a lot and he tried to calmly answer with a forced smile due to many annoying people trying to rip off either him or Yunyun, which pissed him to no end, making Drake so proud of his partner. Excuse me. But think of me as a passerby. I'm quite tired today, so I'm sorry if I can't help you. What's more, you give me a very troublesome feeling for some reason. Now, can you let go of my ankle, please? Issei said as he tried to leave, but the young girl suddenly grabbed onto Issei's legs, just like that blue-haired girl had done to Kazuma, and she started crying out loud while saying. We just met each other. Even if you don't want to help me, it is fine. But what's up with that definition of I give a very troublesome feeling? Can't you see that I'm a very beautiful young girl, she has quite a beautiful face. The girl shouted, and Issei admitted that she seemed a bit cute since she had fair skin and a light complexion with a touch of naivety on her beautiful face. She wears an eye patch on her right eye for some reason, though. Oh. Interesting. I'm quite surprised by her eye color. It's almost the same as Yunyun's, Issei said at the same time. The blue-haired girl also recognized the color of her eyes, and both Issei and she asked at the same time while looking at her crimson eyes. Hey? Are you a Crimson Demon Clan member? The girl suddenly stood up straight and introduced herself while making some silly poses, kind of like what Yunyun did when Issei met her. Indeed I am. My name is Megumin. My calling is that of an arch-wizard, one who commands explosion magic, the strongest of all offensive magic. The group became speechless after she did her introduction until the blue-haired girl broke the silence by saying. I had not thought that I would unexpectedly run into the Crimson Demon Clan person here. This child also has a top-tier class arch-wizard, it's a good opportunity. We must get her on our team. Kazuma. Aqua said before Megumin suddenly dropped down once more. HAU in brief, please give me something to eat. I haven't eaten for a very long time. Megumin said before her stomach made a huge growling sound. After saying that, it was a hungry beast growling, which made all of them speechless once more. There's another voice coming from the entrance. Issei and I've done my preparation. Sorry for the wait. Yunyun said as she came from Luna's desk. She had a happy face and waved toward Issei. Oh. Beautiful and big. Kazuma said while drooling after seeing Yunyun's assets bouncing up and down until he suddenly felt a chill coming from the glare of Issei and he started sweating buckets. Hurriedly looked down because he felt if he kept staring at this new girl, then he might lose his life once more and for good this time. Yunyun saw Megumin, who was on the floor. Me Megumin, is that you? Yunyun was surprised to see her rival here. What happened to you? Megumin. Yunyun starts panicking after seeing Megumin on the floor and tries to shake her around. Ugh. That annoying voice, you Yunyun. That's right, Megumin, it's Yunyun. What happened to you? I haven't eaten for a long time, Megumin said as her stomach growled once more. Yunyun looked towards Issei. San. Please help Megumin. It seems we have no other choice but to help this Megumin because your friend is looking at you with teary puppy eyes. Drake said before chuckling at his partner. Issei sighed before nodding. One of the tables in the guild had a bunch of food served and Megumin was eating all the food with gusto as if she were eating like a starving ghost. She took a whole piece of meat inside her mouth like it was nothing. At her opposite, Aqua can also be found chugging down food and alcohol at the same speed as Megumin, and when both of their mouths are full, they keep chugging food after food and drink after drink, like they are afraid the food and drinks will disappear if they don't eat it fast enough. Issei and Drake found out the blue-haired girl's name after she introduced herself in her own special way. I accept your offering, mortal. This goddess of water Aqua-sama shall give you her blessing. Aqua proceeded to eat the food he bought like nobody's business, which left the others at a loss for words after seeing them both like this. Yunyun, who sat beside Issei, also became speechless seeing her rival eating like this. Kazuma was lamenting the unfairness of this world. Obviously, these are two bishops. Obviously, they are two why? Kazuma lamented to himself since he didn't dare to look at Yunyun openly because of Issei, so he tried to ignore Yunyun as best as he could because he didn't want to die once again. He can only lament his fate after seeing the only two girls who are free in front of him. Issei and Drake had to agree on his lamentation. Obviously, these two can be considered a beautiful girl, but all that is ruined by their attitude and demeanor. Thankfully, Issei got Yunyun here, who's pretty normal compared to the two of them. Issei started to appreciate Yunyun even more after comparing her with these two women. Megumin ate slowly, Yunyun said to advise her rival, but Megumin just ignored her advice and still ate with gusto, and after a while, they finally finished eating their food. Finished? If you're done, then we'll excuse ourselves. Issei said that since he wanted to get out of there as fast as possible, Yunyun started saying things in her unique ways. My name is Yunyun. What a coincidence. What a quirk of fate. We would have an encounter here. You are truly my lifelong rival, Megumin. Issei and Drake had nothing to say after this, since he knew that the two of them knew each other, given what Yunyun told him, but to think they were lifelong rivals was an understatement, since Megumin didn't seem to think of her as a rival. This was proven when Megumin started speaking. Anyway, this girl is Yunyun. The daughter of the Crimson Demon's leader, my self-proclaimed rival. What do you mean self-proclaimed? We are truly a lifelong rival in every sense. Hi, says the girl who has no friend like always. That's where you're wrong, Megumin. I have a real friend and a party member now. This is Issei, my lifelong friend and party member. Impossible. The trio looked towards Issei. Kazuma still has goosebumps while looking at him, while Aqua and Megumin check out Issei fully. Not bad. Compared to this hickany trash Zuma here. Aqua said before her cheeks began to be pulled. Why is it this mouth? This mouth who says all that? Beware. It hurts. I'm sorry Kazuma-shama. I'm sorry. Aqua said as Kazuma continued to pinch Aqua's face, and they became rowdy on their own. Megumin narrowed her eyes at Issei and asked. What are you aiming for? There's no way anybody will become friends with this meat for no reason. Don't call me meat. Just because your chest won't grow, don't call me meat. Yunyun said, causing Megumin to have a tick mark on her head. And she started slapping Yunyun's breast while saying. If this is not useless meat, then what is this? Ow. Don't slap my breast just because yours won't grow. Yunyun shouted until Issei stopped their antics by picking up Megumin by the back of her shirt, as if she were a disobedient cat and spoke to her, causing Megumin to freeze up under his stare. There's no particular reason. At first, it was due to a quest Yunyun put on the board, but we bonded after taking on so many quests. During that time, we truly became friends. And I found her interesting and fun as a friend. Megumin had this incredulous look on her face, as if the world was over, while Yunyun was touched after hearing Issei's words, which made her blush a bit. Issei. To think that Yunyun can get a friend on her own and she got a party first before me on top of that. Is tomorrow going to be the end of the world? Megumin said while reminded of how she got her party member in the first place. She looked at Issei sneakily. You said you let her join your party if she taught you her magic skills, right? Then let me join yours, too. I can teach you the best defensive magic skill there. It is named Explo. No, Issei said, cutting her off and blatantly refusing her offer without a pause. Why? Because you seem troublesome, Issei said with a blank look on his face like that's a fact. Unyunyununu? What kind of reasoning is that? Can't you see I'm a beautiful girl and an arch-wizard at that? Megumin said before Issei stopped her by putting her back on the ground and tapping a book on her head. Yunyun is also an arch-wizard, and I'm totally content just having her as my party member, so no, thank you, Issei said while Megumin became at a loss for words. At the same time, Yunyun is still lost in her delusion after hearing his words. In that case, I challenge you for a duel. If I win, you will let me join your party and replace her with me. Megumin declared, which finally snapped Yunyun out of her delusion after hearing her words. What? Very well, Issei said before looking down at Megumin. Well, have a contest in explosion magic, since that's what you specialize in, which means we'll be going on an extermination mission, Issei said before ripping a paper off the board and showing it to Megumin. Familiar gathering. The familiar guild is in need of slimes and small creatures. Gather a good amount and you'll receive 500,000 Eris extra Eris for any special creatures added to the haul. Rank C. What's a C mission? Megumin asked before Luna walked over to them and replied. Oh, that means it's a C-ranked mission, but the reward and challenge isn't that great. Normally, a C-ranked mission is something like dealing with monsters like the giant toad at Toad Swamp, collecting slimes for the research guild, or doing other jobs like that. Now, a C mission is when there's more to the mission, such as a hidden dungeon to explore. A C means there's not much to do on those missions. The moment Issei heard the mention of slimes, he got chills when he remembered how angry Rias and Akeno got with them, to the point where they obliterated almost half a familiar forest. Luna, Yunyun, and Megumin noticed Issei's nervousness before the short crimson mage spoke up. Did you have a bad experience with giant toads, Issei? No, that would be me. I think it's the mention of slimes. Aqua said before Issei nodded. Aqua is right, and let's just say I've seen a woman reach the limits of their anger because of slimes. Yunyun and Aqua nodded at this as the tall crimson mage replied. Makes sense. Slimes are actually very strong here, and even giant toads fear them. Wait, really? How? Issei and Kazuma asked since giant toads are pretty tough, while slimes didn't seem so dangerous due to the games they used to play back home. Oh, that's because there are different kinds of slimes. I might have accidentally made a cleaner slime that basically cleans anything until it's shiny and clean. Which led to more slimes being born, such as poison slimes, compost slimes, sticky slimes, steel slimes, and even fire slimes. Aqua was listed as Issei, and Kazuma was amazed by the number of them. Wow. Well, the only slimes I had back in my world burned clothes. Issei said, causing Aqua to laugh. Ha. Classic slime. Most slimes do that. Fortunately, they're not bright, but they're not stupid since they can be a threat, especially if a king or queen slime is formed. It's when slimes at a certain level come together and become one giant slime. Trust me. They're friendly, but don't make them mad unless you know you can beat them. Aqua said as if she had a tangle with some of them back when she was a goddess before she lost 99% of her godhood. Issei's eyes glowed for a moment, startling Kazuma and Aqua until he spoke. I'm just saying this now. I'd rather obliterate slimes than collect them, those things made me fear a few folks at him. Issei then turned to Luna. So about that giant toad mission. Luna couldn't help but giggle. Still focused on getting stronger, I see. Issei shrugged in response with a smile. I'm a ruler that needs to improve as fast as possible. Can you blame me? Issei asked before Luna shook her head as she handed him the quest. Try this one. This quest asks you to kill 10 toads, green and pink, before collecting a few slimes if you find any. The research guild has been wanting some new ones. Oh, and slimes actually make great families, so you shouldn't let one experience with your friends, not try to meet them. I met a slime, and it was a nice little one. I still have its core when it passed on. Luna said as she pulled out a small light blue marble with 3 holes in it. This was my only familiar cleaner slime. Nice little girl but passed away a few years ago. Ah. Memories. Issei went into thought before he nodded. Alright then, Luna. We'll find any slimes if we come across one. Ha. Rias is going to kill you when she finds out you gained a slime as a familiar. Speak a word of this to Rias, and I'll play the theme to Boku no Pico in my head on loop. Fine. Calm down, but Luna makes a point. Don't let any past experiences you had with them affect you from enjoying this world. You shouldn't focus on just getting stronger. This world is nice, and I think that perhaps we can enjoy this little vacation and see the sights after we deal with the war. Drake said as Issei pondered this while he wanted her back home. He smiled at the idea since he actually liked the idea of not having to deal with another battle after another and actually just being normal. Well, normal in human terms, that is, since Issei started to feel less and less human after each battle, and with schoolwork, training, his responsibilities in the underworld, and less time to relax, Drake was worried Issei would lose his human side, so the dragon wasn't rushing his partner to deal with the Demon King immediately. Heh. That actually sounds nice. Thanks Luna. By the way, what's with the big crowd outside? Issei asked as he pointed to the large group. Luna sighed and rubbed her forehead. It's .Any of the scouts of the kingdom reported that an army was coming. In about either a few weeks or a month. We don't know if it's a demon army or not, since most demons don't come around here due to Beginner's Town being the weakest city in Belzerg. Issei's eyes flashed for a moment before he leaned in closer to Luna's left ear. I want you to get me as much information about this army coming when you can. If possible, I would like to speak to the one responsible for Belzerg so we can pass this information on to them. Luna could see that Issei was serious about this. She nodded as she handed Issei the mission paper. I'll do what I can, Issei. Luna then smiled. Good luck on your quest as always, Ice-kun. Issei nodded with a small smile before he headed out with Yunyun and Megumin. Until Kazuma and Aqua grabbed his legs. Please let us join you. I can't take it anymore since my class is an adventurer novice and this useless goddess can't even do her job as an archpriest. Please, as a fellow Japanese person, help me. Kazuma cried until Issei sighed and knew this would happen. Fine. The duo looked happy until Issei continued. However, Issei said before looking at them. You two follow my orders and my word alone. I'm not going to be held responsible for any trouble or damage you two cause, so if you do what I say, then I'll let you join. We promise not to let you down, Issei-sama. Kazuma said before Issei stopped him. Zip it with the sama. Just Issei is fine. Issei said before the group of 5 headed out on their quest. Toad Swamp. Issei was amazed by the lakes, both big and small, that were the home for the massive toads who were munching on the giant bugs that either crawled or flew by, only to get caught in their massive mouths due to their long tongue. Wow. I've seen some big things back home, but this takes the cake. How do they even get that big? Issei asked the girls as he observed 2 of them until Aqua pointed to the mushrooms. Those mushrooms are actually magic mushrooms from Viridi's forest, and they can spray spores that either shrink or grow anything they spray. Most of the time, they're passive, but it can be a hassle when there's a large number of them. Many adventurers come to kill a certain number of them to keep their species low, so they don't try to branch out. They love bugs, but sometimes they will hunger for meat. Aqua said before Issei nodded at this. He then summoned his boosted gear, just in case a massive mantis or spider tried to attack them. After walking for a while, Aqua and Kazuma immediately hid behind Issei after seeing the giant toads, which made him look at them with a blank look. Really, you two? Hey. I was nearly eaten alive by those things. And I had to drag her out of those frogs too. Yunyun giggled at this until she had the light of saber formed in her hand. She charged at one of the green ones and sliced it in half until Yunyun dodged a tongue from a pink one that had its mouth inflated like a balloon until it burped some fog that made Yunyun cough until she covered her mouth. Don't breathe it in. It makes a disgusting burp to knock anyone unconscious. Blech. Yunyun yelled as she ran out of the cloud before Issei had Ascalon out until he saw a red line form right at the pink frog. Just as he was about to question Yunyun, a loud yell stopped him. O darkness that plagues this land, be afraid you see your death from high above in a fiery blaze. Explosion. Megumin shouted as. Boom. Issei's eyes widened as he turned to see one of the giant toads explode into pieces. Then, he saw that Megumin had collapsed on the ground. Drake put 2 and 2 together before speaking to the girl, who seemed confident she won the contest. Here he comes to praise me. Megumin said in her head until her ears heard nothing that was praise. That's incredibly foolish of you to use explosion magic as a first attack. What if we hadn't seen you when you cast that spell? Or worse, what if one of the demon generals survives that attack and kills you while you're down? Also, since you poured all your stats into that one spell, which grants shortens the casting and makes it stronger, but you also leave yourself vulnerable after using that one-shot move. Issei said while Megumin didn't reply, and Yunyun defended her. Issei. Trust me when I say you're not the first one to say it, but Megumin has been obsessed with explosions ever since she met the fallen one known as Wolbach. She was sealed away due to her ties with the Demon King after the adventurers captured her. I've tried to teach her, but Megumin is stubborn. Let's let Aqua and Kazuma keep an eye on her while we deal with the giant toads. Is that okay with you guys? Issei growled at this brat before he boosted himself, and Megumin heard something that left her stunned. Explosion. Issei then summoned a small red sphere before punching it at the remaining giant toads, and a massive red explosion vaporized every remaining giant toad it sighted. Issei then turned back to Yunyun and Megumin. The busty mage was in shock, but the crimson spellcaster was in awe and had stars in her eyes until Issei spoke to her as if he were her teacher. If you want to continue using explosion magic, use ones that don't drain you of all your mana, then you'd be very useful to someone's party. Megumin didn't say anything as she was in awe of Issei's explosion until she summoned all the strength Megumin could and threw herself at the ground, which wasn't hard since she was already on the ground. Please teach me your ways of explosion, sensei. Issei blinked as he looked at Megumin in shock before the boosted gear glowed and spoke out loud. Partner, we're making this one your student. Issei's eyes widened. seriously. Partner, you don't understand. She's perfect. Her explosions are flawlessly executed. And just the thought of you taking in a student, an apprentice to the holder of boosted gear, housed by me, the Red Dragon of Domination. The Crimson Witch of Domination, it's absolutely brilliant. Megumin was in awe of the praise from the dragon from within the boosted gear until Issei began to argue with Drake while Aqua and Kazuma picked some of the mushrooms and collected the frog's cores before she collected some stray-lone slimes. Yunyun poured some of her magic into Megumin to help her stand back up while Megumin was patiently but struggling to hold in her emotions as Issei walked back to the duo before Aqua and Kazuma joined them. Okay. Drake and I talked about making you my apprentice. I can see you have skills in magic, but you lack control and extremely limited skills, so if you want to be my student, no, you'll have to do what we say, no complaining or questioning. Also, if we say you should get a new skill, then you'll get it. You have so much potential, and it would be a waste if you just spent it all on a spell that leaves you defenseless after one shot. Issei said before holding a hand out to her. Accept the terms, and I'll teach you what I know, but I think Drake will be the real teacher. So is it a deal then? Issei asked before he was then immediately tackled by Megumin, much to the surprise of Kazuma, Aqua, and Yunyun, who was pouting in anger that Megumin was currently hugging Issei tightly. Yes, master. I shall follow you to the ends of the earth. Yes. Finally. An apprentice to the Red Dragon Emperor, after all these centuries. Issei chuckled at this before Aqua smiled at him. Oh, and speaking of apprentices, I have something for you, Aqua said before handing him a slime of clear fluid. Tada. It's pure slime. There is no element or nothing, just a regular slime. I thought you'd like one since finding a normal slime is rare even today. The slime then jumped at Issei, and then, much to everyone's surprise, it turned red. Aqua and the others were in shock before she squealed. No way. This is even better than a regular slime. Well, what is it? Kazuma asked before Aqua explained. That's a mimic slime, they're capable of mimicking the magic of their master. Issei then handed the slime to Kazuma, who made the slime turn brown before it showed that it could use earth magic now. Tell you what, Kazuma. You can have it. Issei said, shocking Kazuma, Aqua, Megumin, and Yunyun before he continued explaining. You are a novice, and you need some protection since you obviously don't have a tank, so why not have a familiar to help you? Kazuma felt tears forming in his eyes before hugging Issei with all his might, which wasn't much before Issei patted the guy's head with an awkward expression until Issei pushed him off. The group then headed back to their guild to give their report, but Issei told them to go ahead and that he would catch up since he saw something interesting in town. Issei went towards a cart that was carrying something. When he approached the cart, he saw that there was a woman covered in some priest-like clothes, although Issei could tell that there was something odd about the woman due to her scent, which was more of a demon than a human. Issei saw the woman was snarling at another guard who was afraid of the demon until Issei looked inside the cage to see that the demon was a beautiful and voluptuous woman in her 20s, with cat-like yellow eyes and free-flowing waist-length red hair within a hug. She had pointed ears similar to an elf and a strange love heart-shaped mark on her chest. She also had some demonic features, such as goat-like horns sprouting from the sides of her head and bat-like wings protruding from her back, which she could use to fly. She wore a very revealing attire similar to the succubi, consisting of a gold choker, knee-high boots, underwear, a bikini top, and sleeved gloves. She looked at Issei and spat in his direction until the cart owner introduced her. Arns. This succubus was the most loyal subordinate of the former demon general of Sloth Wolbach. We pulled her from the Crimson Demon Village. It looks like she was devastated after losing her master. Be careful. The cart owner said as Issei was near her before he stopped a few feet from her as the succubus glared with fire in her eyes. I'll take her, Issei said before tossing a bag of 1,000 eris, shocking the owner before giving the demon the slave seal and the document that states Arns is now Issei's slave. Arns seemed to be enraged at this, while Drake spoke to his partner with concern in his tone. Tread carefully, partner. She was loyal to her master, and I respect that, but she's filled with hatred for the humans. Not that I blame her. Drake said, making Issei sigh to himself before he swiftly took Arns to the Succubus Cafe, where he was greeted since, in a week, Issei became a regular at the cafe due to the tasty food, before he asked for a private table. Issei took Arns to their private table before he went down to the chair provided for him, while Arns sat across from him. Neither one said a word for what felt like an eternity before Issei sighed. You know, not all humans are bad. True, they are the reason your previous master was sealed away, and even I'll admit, I've sadly met humans who are just like that. A group of magicians known as Nilram, members of a group called the Cows Brigade, whose mission is to spread chaos and eliminate anything related to the supernatural. Arns was silent as Issei spoke while he continued. All I'm saying is that not all of us humans are wrong. I was human until I was killed and resurrected to become a devil dragon. I know what it's like to be both human and a part of supernatural. Know that I don't see you as a murderer. I saw someone who was trying to save someone they had pledged themselves to with all of their being. I know the feeling, but I know Wolbach wouldn't have wanted you to spend your life like this. He didn't know her like I did. Orange shouted, slamming her hands on the table, which didn't frighten Issei before he continued. True, and I can't understand the anger and sadness you felt, but I know what loyalty looks like, and I believe you can aid us in stopping the Demon King and the Demon Generals. TCH. Do you mean to be your servant? I'd rather rot in prison than serve the same kingdom and species that betrayed my master. I was willing to go through this treaty, but it was you humans who pulled the trigger. Arn said before pointing at the humans outside. They killed the Demon King's wife. The gods didn't give a shit about their older brother, since he was the god of monsters. He actually despised how humans see us as either trophies or a chance at fame or glory. Many of the great warriors that the gods send are the same. They think they're doing good, but when Lucifer is willing to give peace a chance, they kill his wife, which breaks the camel's back. Humans think they're so strong and tough because they have the royal family and the gods to protect you, but it's bullshit. Arn said before spitting close to his foot as she looked at him with a smug grin. Go ahead. Could you do it? You know you want to. Hit me. That's your first instinct. Smacking the bitch for insulting your people. Do it. Arn said before Issei just accepted some cake from the succubus maid and then handed it to Arns. Here. Have some cake. Issei said, which made Arns look at him in shock before Issei fed her some cake. Arns blushed at the taste until she swallowed it and accepted the water given to her as well. Why are you being so nice to me? Arns asked before Issei replied to her. Simple. I can tell that while you have so much hatred towards humans, you'd never kill them since it would go against Wolbach's teachings. Even after all that's happened to you, your loyalty to your master is what sets you apart from those who don't care about lives and just enjoy killing. Issei said that when his group came back to the town, he felt the presence of a demon and wished to see this demon, so he sent them ahead and saw that Arns was like him in a way. Issei and Arns continued their conversation at the Succubus Cafe, the atmosphere heavy with tension and unspoken words. Arns took another bite of the cake, savoring the sweetness despite herself. Issei watched her carefully, considering his next words. Arns, Issei began, I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. But holding on to that anger won't bring Wolbach back. It won't change the past. What it can do, though, is fuel your future actions. You can use that fire to make a real difference, to fight for a cause that matters. Arns looked at him, her yellow eyes filled with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. And what cause would that be? Serving you and your friends. Becoming a tool for the humans who betrayed us. Issei shook his head. No. He is not serving us, fighting alongside us. We all have a common enemy in the Demon King and his generals. We can work together to bring them down and create a better world. One where beings like you and me, and even humans, can coexist. Arn scoffed. You speak of coexistence, but how can I trust you? How can I trust any human or that one of goddess that they won't harm or betray me? Issei leaned forward, his expression serious. Trust isn't given, it's earned. I'm not asking you to trust me right away. I'm asking you to give me a chance to earn that trust. To prove that not all humans are the same. Arns was silent for a moment, her gaze locked with Issei's. Finally, she sighed and leaned back in her chair. Fine. I'll give you a chance. But if you or your friends betray me, I won't hesitate to turn against you. Issei nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. That's all I ask. Now, let's talk about how we can work together. Issei said before Arn smiled at this. For a moment, Arn saw her previous master in Issei's eyes. Meanwhile, back at the guild, Kazuma, Aqua, Megumin, and Yunyun were finishing up their report. They had just collected their rewards when they saw Issei and Arns enter the guild hall together. The group was surprised but quickly approached them. Kazuma, Aqua, Megumin, Yunyun, meet Arns, Issei said, introducing the succubus. She'll be joining us in our group. Aqua raised an eyebrow and readied herself to face Arns. A succubus? Really, Issei? She's a demon. I'll purify her immediately. Sacred Aqua shouted before a fist met her face and sent her flying into the wall, which shocked Kazuma, Megumin, and Arns. Then, Issei sighed and handed a bag to Luna. Money for damages, Issei said, which made Luna giggle at the act, since this wasn't the first time Issei had to send someone to the wall. It's fine, don't worry about it. Oh, and by the way, I have a letter for you from the Princess of Belzerg. Luna said before handing him a letter. Yunyun smiled politely as she introduced herself to her new party member and, hopefully, a new friend. Welcome Arns. We're glad to have you with us. Arns nodded, still a bit worried but more at ease than before, thanks to Issei. Thank you. I'll do my best to help. Issei accepted the letter before whispering into Luna's ear. Thank you for the opportunity to have a familiar, Issei muttered, making Luna blush as she nodded since she had heard that a demon would be transported to the familiar guild, so Issei decided to take the chance to not only have a familiar, but also a new friend, and help the demon. Issei then read the letter from the Princess of Belzerg. Dear Mr. Adventurer. Hello. My name is Iris. I'm the Princess of Belzerg. I heard from Luna and the adventurers that you are very strong and kind. Thank you for helping our kingdom. I wanted to write to you because I have a special request. Because I am the ruler of Belzerg, I wish to learn about the adventures you went on, so please accept this quest, and I'll pay you all. I also want to meet you and your friends. Luna told me you have a dragon inside you. That's so cool. I hope we can be friends. Please come soon. Thank you. With lots of hope. Princess Iris and the Blessed Princess of Eris. Wait. Blessed Princess. What does that mean? Issei asked before Arns explained. The gods of this world have blessed royal family members with their powers. Eris blessed the Princess of Belzerg and became the ruler of the kingdom at the young age of 13. Her father and older brother died when they attempted to attack the demon castle, leaving Iris alone to take on the responsibilities of the throne. Arn said that since she heard of this from Wolbach, she had shocked the boy until Kazuma and Aqua thanked Issei for his help. Hey Kazuma. Be careful out there and take care of that slime. Issei said before Kazuma hugged him with tears in his eyes until Issei shoved the need off of him. Issei, Yunyun and Arns headed to their home for the evening, unaware that a certain thief was following them. She narrowed her eyes at Arns before making sure they were alone at their home, fast asleep for tomorrow's quest. Now I can kill that demon in Issei before he becomes a threat. The woman said before that she was pinned to a tree outside the mansion by a hand that looked similar to a certain armor from a moon goddess. Well. So, does a little assassin wish to harm both Arns and myself? How rude. The person wearing the armor said until they stepped into the moonlight to reveal themselves as Issei Haidu in his saber form. So, who do I have the pleasure of meeting? Issei asked while squeezing the assassin's throat before Issei got a good look at the assassin to see that it was a very flat woman. The assassin looked like a teenage girl with a light complexion and purple eyes. She had short silver hair and a light purple ombre of a sort. Her hair is longer. She has 2 strands of hair framing her face, with a piece of hair pointing out from her fringe. She wears earrings, most likely due to her tomboyish and outgoing appearance, along with her flat chest and short hair, which often make her mistaken for a boy. She also wore a fairly revealing outfit, an attire common among females of the rogue class. Her outfit consisted of a light blue scarf, a short green cape that goes down to her elbows, a pair of black elbow gloves with normal brown gloves layered over them, short blue jean shorts, white knee-high socks with a blue trimming, brown boots, and a bikini-like gray top. She also wears diamond-shaped blue earrings and usually has an enchanted dagger fastened to her waist at the back. My apologies about my daughter, but I must ask that you release her, Issei Haidu. A voice said, shocking the duo to see the goddess of creation herself. Arania. Issei was so caught off by her appearance that he didn't even sense her taking Chris away from his hand, so he flung the assassin over her left shoulder like a towel. It's a pleasure to meet you face to face finally. Would you mind coming with me? Ariana asked before Issei nodded and followed her, feeling like he didn't have a choice in the matter until they were back in the heaven version of this world. Arania then led Issei and Chris to a private room where there was a table before Arania gestured for the two to sit down. Now, I think it's time my daughter and champion have a heart-to-heart, Arania said, which led to an hour of interesting discussion. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow the Nefarious Doctor for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.